Hi, my name is Patrick Richards. I'm a PMM here at Microsoft, and I'm here today with Stewart Lande. Welcome, Stewart.
Hi.
Stewart has a master's degree in electrical engineering from NYU,
Correct.
former president of the Lande Group, worked with Grumman in the defense industry before. He's a serial entrepreneur, and we're very happy to have you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So now Stewart is here representing Maureen Data Systems, and we're going to ask him a few questions about the practice and have him walk us through the great work that they're doing. So welcome, Stewart.
Thank you.
So first thing, what is the mission of Maureen Data Systems?
Maureen Data Systems, also known as MDS, its mission is basically to enable its clients to get a business advantage by using and taking advantage of technology. And that's our mission, to enable our clients to take a business advantage by using technology.
Very nice. So could you maybe give us an example of how Maureen Data Systems can use technology to help their customers?
Well, typical example would be enable customers to secure their systems to comply with compliance issues and laws, and make them not have to focus and concentrate on that, but concentrate on their competition. We help them with the necessary controls to prevent violations of compliance and security or compromise of data, so they can spend their time building their company.
Very good. So I'd like to delve a little bit more into what you're saying. I know you have a very advanced security and compliance solution, so I'd like to hear a little bit more about how MDS uses their security and compliance solution to assist their clients in this way.
Sure. Well, typically what we do with our clients, both our small and medium-sized clients, we offer them a series of services to help them with those security needs. So typically, we would do an assessment of their overall infrastructure. We'd find out more about where their assets and where their data lies. So we do testing known as risk assessments, penetration testing, vulnerability testing, identify where they have gaps in their security. We would list these gaps and indicate the priorities in which we thought these gaps have to be addressed. We'd also find a framework for which they would feel comfortable to adhere to, and we would help them remediate each one of these gaps so that they could be compliant. We also help them with other issues regarding security and compliance and privacy, which is becoming more and more significant now. So we'd help them, for instance, to enable their employees to be secure and aware of the various security problems that can occur. So we do training of that. We also give them the ability to use us as a virtual CISO in case they're not large enough to handle this internally. We offer that service. We also offer them security as a service and managed services and SOC ability, so we can address issues as they come up. If they do have a breach, we also help them in an incident and how to handle that breach. We help them with forensics on figuring out what happened, why it happened. And so we offer a total security set of tools. Quite often we'll rely on Microsoft to provide these tools. And these tools consist of advanced threat protection. They consist of different areas that they need to adhere to, like GDPR and other compliance issues. Typically, we use Microsoft because it lessens the extent of tools that have to be learned by the employees. So the best of breed is all contained within one dashboard and one training. So we don't have to have an overly burdened staff learning multiple tools. So Microsoft has been our choice of tool for that. I think I've given you a broad, but we can go into specific areas that Microsoft provides us with, like Intunes and AIP and quite a few tools, depending on the client and their needs.
And its needs. No, that's very interesting. I actually wanted to bring up that topic. And what brought you originally to Microsoft as a partner? Did you work with other companies before that maybe didn't provide solutions as capable as what you find with Microsoft? You mentioned the simplicity in terms of compliance, especially for SMB and smaller companies. Maybe you could speak a bit more about what brought you and what really convinced you that Microsoft was the partner for you.
Right. Well, we've been working with Microsoft for quite a long time. We started in this business back in 1978 when it was really a hobby business, kind of like the dawn of the microcomputer era. Sure. I guess that's probably before you were born, too, right?
Yeah, about 10 years before I was born, yeah.
Yeah, so we started really early, and we found that by staying on the leading edge of technology and helping clients implement that leading technology edge to help them maintain a competitive advantage, we grew. Sure. And by growing, we continued to invest in the new technologies. We got involved with the cloud very early by embracing Microsoft's BPOS, which subsequently became the Office 365 that resided in the cloud. So we were early adopters, and we found by partnering and collaborating with Microsoft, we were bringing the best tools to our customer. We've done that as well with our security tools. We've seen how Microsoft has enhanced and has grown their security portfolio. And as I alluded to earlier, it makes a lot of sense to have the security simplified so that individuals don't need to learn many security tools, but can utilize a set of tools that work with each other and that could be managed and monitored relatively easy. So that's what Microsoft provided us with, and we've grown with Microsoft. As a matter of fact, we're constantly looking at new tools as the bad actors become more sophisticated, right? And they learn how to compromise some of the existing tools. We've in turn followed Microsoft's lead because they have shown that they are bringing some of the best tools to market right now. We are working with tools that incorporate artificial intelligence and machine language learning to supplement the existing tools that we have today.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that you started roughly 40 years ago in the United States, a little bit as a hobby. And I'm curious now because when you look at cybersecurity, you look at these advancing, more sophisticated threats, this is on a global scale. And when you look at compliance, and I know as a global company, MDS offers many solutions. So I wanted you to maybe speak about more in which locations and geographies are you active? Where are you growing? Where do you see as the future of the company from a global point of view? And maybe how does Microsoft allow you to service these customers all over the map?
That's a good question. So we look upon security as not a separate technology, but a integral part of what we deliver to customers, whether it be infrastructure or applications. Security has to be a part of that. It's no longer a separate entity. And I think Microsoft has recognized that as well. They've embraced security. They've developed and acquired some sophisticated security solutions. We currently are now international in scope. We do a lot of work in LATAM and the Caribbean. and other areas, certainly in GDPR, as well as other privacy, security, compliance and requirement issues. We see privacy as becoming a larger and larger initiative on our part. We have presence right now in countries like India, Philippines, South Africa recently, and Israel. So we are growing internationally, and we're utilizing Microsoft tools predominantly, as well as other third-party tools where appropriate. But we see it as an integral part of our technology deliverables, not as a separate offering.
Okay, absolutely. So I'd like to switch tracks a little bit now, and I know Maureen Data Systems is a woman-owned enterprise, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about what that means to you personally and what that means to the company as a whole in this industry.
Yes, well, Maureen Data Systems is named after Maureen, who happens to also be my wife, and so therefore by default she's my boss. Not quite, but it's a partnership. Okay. We're both founders of the company, and we have separate roles. But as we've seen recently, diversity and WBE, which is a women-owned enterprise business, is becoming now a requirement for a lot of corporations and state and local government. They want to be inclusive. They want to exhibit diversity in their choices of partners. And so we've been selected by quite a few state, local, corporate, because of our diversity, not only being a women-owned business, but also our staff is very diverse from all over the international scene. So the women-owned is just enhancing and enabling us to be more representative of what's happening out there.
Absolutely. Okay, no, that's very interesting, and I think that really is something that differentiates your company from many of your competitors. And what about for you personally? What was the decision originally to go that path back in the late 1970s and 1980s?
Yes. Well, it was a matter of the contribution of Maureen to the growth of the company. She was instrumental, and we thought that she should lead the company. She is the president. And so by default, without even realizing that diversity was going to become a bigger and bigger part, she became the guiding force of the company and still is. So it wasn't that we knew what was happening. It just happened to turn out that way, that we made the right decision. And also, it's an easy name to know. So brand recognitions were important. It was a lot easier to know Maureen Data Systems than the acronym MDS or 3B3 or 4B4. So and we got to be more personal by utilizing Maureen Data Systems on our literature.
You're that Maureen, right? This kind of conversation, I'm sure, happened we've quite a lot.
That's happened with quite a few companies, and they do remember us.
Because of that. Very good.
That's right.
Well, Stewart, I wanted to open it up now to any other points that you'd like to add about the company, about working with Microsoft, about the space, and what you're looking forward to maybe in terms of where you see the great opportunities upcoming. You mentioned expanding globally. You mentioned to focus on privacy. And so I'd love to hear if you have any other points that you'd like to add.
Well, I think I covered most of them, probably missed some, but we like the direction of Microsoft. It kind of coincides how we started our business by providing leading edge and advanced technologies to our clients, wins their allegiance and helps them remain focused in what they're good at and stay competitive and have an advantage in what they're good at. Microsoft is providing us with the various technologies in security, compliance, and privacy. And we see privacy becoming larger and larger. I mean, it started recently with the GDPR, which is a European initiative, but we see every state now is looking at, and some have adopted privacy requirements. The California privacy, New York recently had the Shield Act, and the DS 500. There's lots of states embracing privacy as well as other countries. So we think Microsoft is right on track, bringing us solutions for the privacy and adapting their knowledge of AI, machine language learning, and advanced data analysis to help us continue providing these technologies and advantages to our corporation. So we are going to stay on that road and continue to grow, and we feel optimistic that that's the way to go. We started that way 40 years ago. We've grown and grown, and we continue to provide that service.
Absolutely. Well, I can speak from Microsoft's side and say that we're very happy to have you as a partner, and we look forward to continuing to grow together. So I'd like to close it out with one last question. I wanted to know if you could provide some advice, some feedback on other growing businesses, entrepreneurs, people who are interested in the industry, on how they can grow and be successful like MDS, where they can look into in the fields of the future, and how Microsoft can help them as a partner realize that success.
That's a complex question, but I think I'd like to break it down into two philosophies we have at Maureen Data Systems. One of the philosophies is about being passionate in what you do. We take it a step further, and we feel it's not sufficient to be passionate. Everybody is passionate to some extent in what they do. We think you have to be super passionate. In other words, beyond passionate. You have to enjoy every day you're going to your assignment. You have to enjoy what you're doing, and not just some of the time, but most of the time. So we feel that's an essential ingredient to growing, and it certainly has helped us grow. All the people that we encourage to stay with us and that have stayed with us are super passionate in what they do. The other ingredient that we feel personally, individually, and as far as a company, we're very, very strong on the diversity side and inclusive side. We encourage that. We think that makes a stronger company by having representatives. We have in my company people from, I guess, at least 20 different countries with different cultures, with different things they bring to the table. And a common ingredient on the technology is it gives us the ability to give back to our customers. And that gives us the reward. We're a big believer in that song, you got to give a little, take a little. So as far as our reason of being is we provide technology, and we give our knowledge of technology to our clients so they can grow their company. So those are two main parts that differentiate us, I think.
Absolutely. I'm curious, how has the partnership with Microsoft helped with these two philosophies, and how could that help other businesses that may be interested in joining the ecosystem?
Well, we go back with Microsoft from the early beginning days. So we were in business before Microsoft was. And we've joined Microsoft from the very early beginnings. We are a gold partner. We find that Microsoft is actually a partner of ours. They're not our supplier, they're a partner. We go to clients with them. We discover strategies with them. We talk about strategies. Right now we have 5 people at a partner convention in Las Vegas amongst the Microsoft reps and our reps. And they're talking and discussing and strategizing. We don't find that with very many other partners. So we like the way they do business.
Very good. Well, thank you, Stewart, again for being here from Maureen Data Systems. And thank you, everyone, for watching.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for inviting us.